Why perceiving? What do you see of me here? A skin color, a gender, an age, accent, gestures, words, clothes, a piece of jewelry. All these things may give you a clue about who I am. You may make an instant judgment or perception based on your focus. Am I a friend or foe? Someone familiar or unfamiliar? Someone to be feared, respected, loved, rejected, or included? Why? Where did your ideas come from? Are they your own? Or are they taught? All these visual descriptions are how you perceive me. But am I not more than your descriptions, ideas, and perceptions, perhaps? I am, and we are, products of our experiences, our circumstances, our cultural histories across time and space. We share many things as beings in the universe that are always in a state of flux. For example, you wouldn't know that I have multiple identities as a daughter, a woman, a worker, a friend, a neighbor, and not only here in Canada, but also my adopted second culture in Turkey, through experiences and liveness in that geography, once unfamiliar to me, but how inherently so familiar it is now, and a part of me. I've added another perspective to my ways of seeing, knowing, and being. So many have written their stories across me, as I have written my stories and experiences across them. My immigrant parents, my British mother and Ukrainian father, my Turkish extended family and friends, the land upon which I was born, the meadows I explored, schools and workplaces, gatherings, funerals, weddings, and births on a prairie farm, then in Toronto, in Istanbul, in Europe, in London, the African continent, India, Latin America, Russia, and Ukraine. All my experiences in their totality have shaped me, but my willingness to adapt gives me chances of perceiving I wouldn't have been able to experience otherwise. When one opens their heart to that which is unfamiliar, one also learns another cultural pattern that makes up the universe and also comes to know the self just a little more. What is most interesting about human beings is not what is on the surface, but rather the acceptance that we are all knowing things differently and similarly. Actually, when you think about it, we can't put our hand on the difference between you and me because it's just an idea taught by our circumstances and our cultures. Yet, the ways we are taught to perceive might hinder us from widening our circles. We may judge superficially who is like us or who is not. Do we close ourselves? What larger circumstances turn friends into foes? Did we plan for that? Did anybody plan for it? Did we will it or want it? What if one's mother were Russian and father Ukrainian? Or for that matter, all those brothers and sisters in conflict with each other in Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Iraq, Somalia. The list goes on, doesn't it? Fighting one another that only benefits others far away. What circumstances beyond their control could put their marriage, family, neighborhood, nations under strain? Think about it. How would such unfortunate, unforeseen circumstances alter whom one might simply choose as a friend, partner, even lover? But the world is filled with infinite possibilities, but we often limit those possibilities, or rather, the system in which we live limits our thinking through categorization and labeling of how we look and act, where we belong, or what we become. Ideas that are just too black and white without any shades of gray in between. Think about national mottos like, "You're either with us or against us," or "Keep calm and carry on," instill suspicion, fear, and conformity towards our fellow human beings. Instead, might a more hopeful expression like, "Live and let live," change our perception of fellow human beings in the world and of our relationships with each other. We're all prone to odd ways of perceiving. Let me tell you a story. On a visit to my parents in Saskatoon in the winter of 2009, my father and I went skating on an outdoor rink across from the Besborough Hotel in Saskatoon. As a kid, I was a good skater, although my secondhand skates my father bought me never quite supported my ankles properly. But I did the best I could. 40 years later, I was rather shaky on the ice. After a couple of warm-up circles round the rink, I spotted a couple of young women lacing up their skates on a bench. I noticed one was wearing a hijab. Out of curiosity, I approached them, offering some small talk. "You're good on the ice. How long have you been skating?" I asked. "Since childhood," responded the girl wearing the hijab. "Oh," I replied, a bit bewildered. I continued, "May I ask if you're visiting?" The young woman looked at me and said, "I'm from Evan Hardy High School. I love skating." As she laced up her skates, I noticed they were male skates, which I had never even tried in all my years on the prairie rinks and ponds. She noticed my curiosity and confidently stated, "I love men's skates. They're so easy because there's no pick. I trip on that stupid women's skates." "Oh, really? I've never tried them," I confided. I wished them well, and off they went like swans gliding on a lake. That day, I realized my perceptions were very outdated. But what of another's perceptions of me? Once upon a time, I was married to a poet. He was my soulmate. We met across the seas. He used to tell me, "You'll fly out of the sunset into the sunrise," meaning I'd fly from a Canadian sunset into a Turkish sunrise, to a new land of fertility, joys and sorrows, hopes and struggles. Here are a few lines from one of the first poems he wrote me. "Remember, you were either 8 or 9. Remember the day you were running towards the forest so happily, just as you run to me when you need me and yourself." How could someone know me so well, perhaps better than myself, from the other side of the world? Someone who had never even lived in Canada. It was as if he were with me on my walks through the forest as a child, as I was with him on his childhood walks. We were different, and yet so similar. Together we had bridged 2 histories, 2 nations, 2 cultures, and 2 souls. Ah, those were the days, my friends. We thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. Some of you may know the song. The more shared experiences we have, the more we realize our circumstances and how they shape us. Perhaps the more our hearts will open. May threads open some new windows as we share experiences and ways of perceiving across the next 2 days together. I'll start off our journey with the words of my soulmate. May he rest in peace. Sevgi var çünkü ben varım ve biz varız. This translates simply into English as, there is love because I am and we are. Let's do it all together. Hep beraber.